I'm like, hey, yo, chill. And then we talked on Discord. I talked a little bit of smack, and then we became friends.
Greetings, gamers, and welcome to the 5th episode of the Player Profile series. In this installment, we sit down with arguably the most accomplished player in the game. Orlanthi has topped the leaderboard since he began playing back in September, and he's dominated the fighter class since. He was the #1 fighter escape artist in playtest 4, 3, Season 1, and 2. The #1 overall treasure collector in 4, 3, Season 1, and 2. The #3 fighter treasure collector in playtest 1, the #1 fighter veteran adventurer in playtest 4, the #2 fighter veteran adventurer in playtest 3, Season 1 and 2, the #3 fighter killer outlaw in playtest 3, Season 1, and the #1 fighter killer outlaw in playtest 2. I do apologize in advance for the scuffed audio throughout this episode. We had some technical difficulties, and I did my best to piece things back together in a way that keeps things flowing and coherent. But as a disclaimer for my part in the conversation, you may occasionally find yourself thinking,
"You don't know what you're talking about, do you?"
Sir?
I said, "You don't know what you're talking about." What time do you go to bed?
Today, we have episode 5 with the #1 overall player from playtest 4, the fighter, the legend, Orlanthi himself. Welcome to the program, sir.
Hello, how are you doing today?
I am well. Haven't had a chance to chat with you very much. In fact, we just talked for the first time about, 3 minutes ago. And I wanted to bring up one of the common misconceptions. I know I was not the only one because I saw it in a Discord thread somewhere, but there is a common misconception out there that you and Uberkist are actually the same person, and obviously that is not the case.
Yeah, we are completely different.
But you do play with him in several games, right? He's obviously a Dark and Darker player as well, but he posts, I think the confusion comes in because he posts a lot of your videos on his YouTube channel. I think that's one of the reasons. But yeah, so where did you guys run into each other, and how's that whole dynamic working?
So we met up together on Expedition to Garfa. It was going around teams and stuff. And I ran into his team, and I was like, 1v1 me, no balls. And we 1v1ing. And I killed 2 of his teammates, and then he just started to ham on me afterwards because he didn't want to lose his shit. I'm like, hey, yo, chill. And then we talked on Discord. I talked a little bit of smack, and then we became friends.
Okay, right on. So are you just leveraging his video editing skills then for your YouTube clips? Or are you going to start your own channel at some point?
We haven't really talked about that yet. I'm fine with how it is now. His channel's growing.
It is.
I don't have to do the editing myself or learn how to edit yet.
Right
Even
on.
though I am planning on learning how to edit, it's more while I can do the playtest, so like it comes out fresh and quick.
You're on Twitch and you do stream on there. How long have you been doing that, and which games did you start out with?
This is like my 33rd stream that had happened the other day.
Oh, dang. So not a lot. When did you start?
I've been on and off like for 6 months.
Okay. And you're already up to near 7,000 followers on there. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's a little bit crazy. During last playtest, I had an average of 666 viewers, ironically.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was happy with the number.
Well, what games did you start streaming on Twitch? Dark and Darker has been out roughly, 5 months, unless you were in the initial playtest. Did you start with Dark and Darker, or did you start with something else?
No, I started playing some games with friends like Valorant.
Okay.
Tried Dead by Daylight and all that. Although I hadn't really gotten into either of those games because they weren't my forte. Then I played Expedition Agartha week while the servers were alive with people.
Yeah, I was about to ask, what's the state of that game now? Is it pretty much dead?
Yeah, basically.
Mm.
I'm hoping back, but
Yeah, that's too
probably
bad.
won't.
The clips that I saw made it seem like it would be a decent game, at least while we're in hiatus from Dark and Darker. It'd be something to kind of get the dopamine going here and there until the next playtest hits. But yeah, I have heard stories that the servers are starting to die off.
Yeah, they have already died off. Basically, there's only like they combined all the servers together into one server so that there would be population to fight each other.
Dang.
So it's not looking too good.
Well, getting on to the topic that everybody's here to talk about and hear about, other than your backstory, of course, they want to hear about your experience with the game. Which playtest was your first one? Were you in on that September playtest, or did you start in October?
I started in September.
Okay. And you finished it, if I remember correctly. I thought I heard on one of the videos or one of your streams that you finished extremely high in every one that you played in. How did those early playtests go?
So for September, that was my first one. I could only play for 2 days because family obligations and whatnot. So I made it to third overall on Treasure.
Okay.
And I was not happy with that result at the time because I'm like, fuck, I could have gotten first if I just had another day.
Yeah.
Next one, I knew what I had to do, and I knew what I wanted to do, and I wanted to get first because I knew I could do it. So I went and got first.
What does that plan look like from a logistics perspective? Like the IRL part of this, how do you manage your time between sleep, food, and the dungeon?
Well, I play as long as I can until like my body is like, hey, there's going to be repercussions if we stay up. And then I go to sleep for as little as I can, although I'm a very, very, very heavy sleeper. I remember getting told this, JCLC, like this JROTC program, that I had slept through a drill sergeant trying to wake me up, trying every hours. And on the third hour, I woke up by myself. And boy, was that motherfucker pissed.
So you're not scheduling your time, then you're just playing until you're exhausted, and then you're crashing, and then as soon as you get up, you're right back at it.
Addict's life.
Yeah. Sorry, the audio is cutting in and out a little bit, so if I miss something, don't hesitate to repeat it.
It's all good.
Played a lot in the last playtest with it looked like a core group of guys, 2 teams primarily. You had a lot of squad runs with Hansel and Tadpole, and then you also played quite a bit with Tigris and Sorgoth as well. Are those all guys you knew prior to this game, or did you connect with them?
No, I met them in this game. My main squad is Zanzibar's, and we're the main squad.
Okay,
but because I play so much, I have to people because they need sleep. Work with other.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Zanzibar's is Uberkist, is that right, or is that not right?
No, then Zanzibar's is another person.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's so hard for me to keep track of all this. I swear I saw that Zanzibar's was Uberkist on one of the videos, but glad that you cleared that up because I would have made that mistake for quite some time.
Does go on to Uberkist's YouTube channel as well because he's also Kist's friend.
Okay. Out of all of those squads, did you feel like you had particularly good synergy with any one of them, or was it all pretty even?
So when I played with Tigers and Sorgoth, as well as with Tadpole, they were all really good teammates. Hansel's a bit boosted. Hansel's a bit crazy. I say this all the time. Hansel is a little bit goofy. My God says because of him, and I'm holding that grudge.
I saw him play.
The story goes.
I saw him play.
Fighting the Lich
Oh,
Oh,
go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, sorry. We were fighting the Lich, and he starts magic missiling right in front of me, and he's targeting me with his orb. So continue moving left to reach our cleric. But I can't. Need a missiling in front of me. So I take a hit, go down and die. The Lich is already low. Can't get enough damage off, and then our cleric dies, and then Hansel gets out.
Oh, jeez.
I bully Hansel a little bit because of his moments. Like after that, I've like continually been like a boosted. You need to like say when you actually do something wrong, admit it, so you can get better. So he would be a really great player. He just doesn't know what he does wrong because he doesn't believe it, I guess.
Yeah. I did see him play in that solo tournament, and it looked like he fared pretty well overall. Was he one of the guys that was playing a cleric? No, Hippo was playing a cleric. Hansel may have switched to a cleric at one point, but a lot of people switched throughout that solo tournament. Speaking of tournaments, how many did you end up playing in? I know you and I were in the same one, you and Strange, and who was your third in that?
We had Slickening, one of the best
yeah.
wizards in the game.
Yeah, he's freaking good. So you guys had that was Sobad's. What did he call that tournament? I just forgot the name of it. It wasn't the 0 to Hero. What was that called?
I didn't do the 0 to Hero one because I slept through it, sadly.
No, the one that he did though, the one sponsored by the Inquisition was a good tournament, and you guys had a really good strategy, I thought, of splitting up your team. So he ran around as a barb with a crazy amount of throwing axes and did fairly well, and then you and Slickening split off and terrorized the dungeon elsewhere, and that seemed to work out extremely well for you guys. I watched most of that VOD and saw the game where you guys had 13 freaking kills in a single game, and it was like, oh yeah, that was extremely well played all around. Like we struggled, man. Like I ran with my son and my buddy Justin. We ran around as a trio the whole time, and we didn't stop for anything except to fight. And it was a struggle to find players. Like I just kept looking at the board, hoping people weren't dying to the mobs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. At the last round, our splitting up strategy kind of fucked us because we just died. And we couldn't recover after that, which was pretty saddening. But we still got third, so
Yeah.
it's okay.
And you guys weren't far off either. You ended up with what, 44 kills, and first place got 46 maybe?
46, I think.
Yeah. And I don't know if that video's out there. I want to see the video. Like, I mean, I trust that Cross Current and company. Yeah, it was Cross Current's tournament now that I think about it. Gosh. I trust that they evaluated things correctly, but I'd still just like to see it to know how that played out. I wonder if they did a similar thing to what you guys did and split up. But yeah, that was good. Did you do any other tournaments outside of that one?
I joined one for Rested XP. It was an invitational.
Mm-hmm.
And I got last place in that. It was a free tournament, but because at the time when this tournament was made, there's only people per lobby. I was going to be the odd man out, and because I was still the odd man out. But 16. Oh,
So was that a permadeath type scenario? Like as soon as you died, you were out?
oh, basically because I wouldn't have any teammates.
Okay.
But it was great first round, like an absolutely amazing first round. Could not have gone better. But then the second round was as worse as it could be. So I just started goofing off a bit.
Well, overall,
Either way, I had a great time.
Overall, for the playtest, not just looking at tournaments, but overall, what were some of your biggest highlights and lowlights? It sounds like that tournament you kind of had both within a span of an hour. What were some other significant events that stand out for you?
Everything just was amazing to me. I had been enjoying the play test. I would have god kits and I would lose them, and that's what's supposed to happen.
Right.
And glad I was streaming it because, like, when the mental started to get hurt a little bit, I would just look at chat and it would just be wonderful. I was able to like talk with them, be like, it is what it is. But thank you guys for being here.
Well, that's a good segue into two of the weapons that were featured in the videos that Uberkist put on his channel, at least, which are Cinder and Fulgore. And I think I had a misconception that when you found those were completely unique, one-of-a-kind weapons. But then I saw Fulgore running around with multiple other players, it seemed like simultaneously. So can you confirm with your expertise that those are indeed not one-of-a-kind items?
They have different stat rules like everyone else. It's
Okay,
just they have a special ability and they're a little bit rarer than regular uniques.
gotcha. But you did run around with Fulgore and Cinder quite a bit. For those of you playing along at home that are curious, let me go ahead and bring the image up here. So there's what Cinder looks like, and there's what Fulgore looks like. Both of them are +3 all attributes. Fulgore has +4 physical damage, +4 weapon damage, +2 movement speed, +20 magic damage on hit, and +1.3% item equip speed. Cinder, again, +3 all attributes, +3 strength, +2 weapon damage, +3.6 armor pen, +1.3 buff duration, and +10 magic damage on hit, plus it burns for 3 seconds. Both of those are absolutely ridiculous weapons. Where did you find those, and which one was your favorite?
So my favorite, obviously, because I'm a big halberd lover.
So Cinder wins that one. Were both of those finds from boss kills, or were you in treasure hoards when you found those? How did those come about?
A roll that I got. I had been working with a team to kill Ghost King and we got it. It was like had +3 all attributes, +3 weapon damage, +3 true physical damage. First one it was perfect. And ever since then I tried using it and it was beautiful. By killing high roll bosses. And so like they're not easy to get at all.
Right.
You have to get good RNG enough times to actually get a good one.
Yep. Yeah, and those are some of the most disgusting rolls I've seen on any weapon, let alone weapons with those kind of unique abilities attached to them. The extra magic damage is crazy good.
The Fulgore I traded a Kuma's Claw for that, which I was trade because it was someone who was going for aesthetic looks on items. And so after he wanted the Kuma's Claw, I wanted that God roll for because I was betting on it looking super sick for a video.
Oh yeah. Well, you succeeded there for sure. What is the item that you said you traded? Kuma cloth? I haven't even heard of this.
Arming Sword and Kluma's Fang is a falchion. They didn't have a unique, but it was a little sad because Pavis is like my signature Pavis yet. So, but they still had a halberd, no unique spear either, which is like
Really?
because those are the two like main, like the spear is arguably the most sought after item in the game.
Yeah, that was one of the first things I did when I built my Ranger in playtest 3 was tried out the spear with of course using the perk there, and once I tried that, man, it was like, holy cow, this is more fun than shooting the bow. And I ran around with just garbage spears and still had a good old time and downed quite a few folks with gray and white spears. But they are difficult items to find, and certainly good magical ones are very, very hard to find.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There is one that I had that I traded away because it was so bad that I didn't even want to look at it. It had only rolled 2 of the stat rolls that it could have. So it only had 2 out of 5, and I'm like, fuck this.
Well, hey, we were talking about tournament highlights before I took us over to Fulgore and Cinder. You did get a chance to play with Grayson at one point. How did that happen, and how was it?
Yeah, I basically messaged him, "Hey, do you want to play?" Because I wanted to bossing, but we never got lucky with the lich, so it was like really sad. But still, had fun playing with him. I got him on like the end of a 40-hour shift of like constantly working on the servers and shit.
Yeah.
Really good at. He was tired. He was.
I watched part of that, but I'm struggling to remember what character class he played. Did he play a mage or a cleric or neither?
Oh, he plays fighter.
Oh, he plays fighter. Okay, cool.
Yeah, he plays fighter, and he had more kills on Lich than me at the end of the playtest, which was pretty impressive for another
Holy
fighter.
cow. Yeah.
Oh, the Lich never really bugged out. The Ghost King did, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I did not attempt the Ghost King at all. That is
I did occasionally, but someone would always fuck up, and it's like, okay, nice.
yeah, the jump, the timing on the jump seems like that's what gets everybody.
Honestly, it's not the jump timing; it's the screams.
Oh,
So
yeah, once you have the
eventually,
stacks,
you'll step in like the little circles, and
Yep.
then those stacks kill you
Yep.
because he screams.
Right.
I think in one fight we got him down so low, and I knew he was so low because I know relative damage, and I'd hit him like a good 70 times. So he must have been like at like 2% or some shit, and then someone died.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone. Do you know if anyone successfully soloed either the Lich or the Ghost King this playtest?
Grayson has.
He did?
He has. He's one of the devs, so he definitely has time to make sure it's possible, and he
What
made
a
sure it's
legend. Jeez. That's crazy. Is he the only one to your knowledge?
I know that he has done it. And
Well, what other thoughts do you have about playtest 4 as we kind of move on to the next segment, which is recent drama and then the future state of the game? Any other lingering thoughts about playtest 4?
I wish it was longer, although
Me
my
too, man.
sleep and my body would hate me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm entering the post-dark and darker coma, like, where the depression hits hardest.
Right.
It's an addict's world out here.
It is rough, man.
One of the things that was that, like, I would get traded occasionally by people who were done for the playtest, and I'm like, oh no. I'll accept it because they're not going to use their gear anymore, and it's better than it rotting.
Yeah.
I'd rather like put out at least decent gear into the communities.
Yeah, well, I donated a lot the day before I left, but it wasn't voluntary. It was just due to me being just bad and getting killed every time I got into a raid. I went on a really bad streak my last day. We didn't play bad during that tournament. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to have a bad day, I mean, the last day that you're going to play, I guess that's as good as any, like you can't take the gear with you to the next playtest, obviously. So I kind of I left feeling like I used everything that I could have used at my disposal, but you still are disappointed when you have your worst day of the playtest be the last day that you get to play. That part sucked.
Literally. Yeah. I'm so sad I fell asleep.
Shoot, you cut out again, man. I heard I'm so sad I fell. I'm assuming you were gonna say I fell asleep.
On stream, yeah. I fell asleep on stream on the last day and I just zoinked.
Oh dang. How long were you up for? Did like anybody call you, wake you up? I mean, do you have any guys that are
I got called. No one could wake me up. I'm the heaviest sleeper known to man. But luckily I had a mod move me to I'm just sleeping, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're good.
There was one dude that was I think he's a new YouTuber, at least new to Dark and Darker. He put out a video right before the playtest saying that he was going to try to become the #1 ranked player or top 10 player, and he had a pretty well built YouTube video, but he said that he was going to stream the whole thing night and 24/7, like he was going to stream himself sleeping and playing. And I think this dude, what's his name, Tryhard Scorpio or Tryhard Scorpion, something like that.
I'd believe it. I've met Scorpio before. Did he actually do that?
He made it, from what I could tell. He stopped on like day 2.5. I saw. I think it sounds good before you start doing it, but after like 2 days, I mean, you know better than anybody else out there how difficult it is. But to be on camera for 24 hours a day for even 2 days that'd be a lot.
It's not just that. It's that for me, I don't use caffeine much. I like only had 2 energy drinks this playtest because my siblings had taken the rest, and I'm like, what the fuck?
So you've got siblings. Are they into Dark and Darker as well? Are you their coach?
No, 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 no. They're completely different. Out of the triplets, I'm climb leaderboards the most.
Okay.
But yeah, we're triplets, but we're nothing alike.
Gotcha. And you guys all live together?
No. They come over here occasionally, but yeah,
Come over and steal the energy drinks.
party lost like half of my supplies, and I'm like, fuck, I was sleeping, bro.
It's like offline raid. Moving on to future state of the game. Well, before I get to future state, were you tracking all of this Nexon discussion? A couple different people, One Peg put out a video, a couple other people put out videos about the potential for Dark and Darker to be a quote-unquote stolen game, and there seemed to be a fair amount of credible evidence that a lot of these guys did come from Nexon. And what we were all, at least what I was questioning the most, was whether or not they had left with any of the things they had built while they were there. And that was what I was most concerned about. And part of me wanted to immediately dismiss that, because what I've seen from Terrence and SDF and everyone involved from Iron Mace has been nothing but top notch. So I found it hard to believe that any of those guys would be stupid enough to leave Nexon, a massive company in Korea. At least that's my understanding, that they're a big developer in Korea, that you would leave there and try to take any code or any of the assets that you'd built and put that into an entirely different game. I had complete disbelief, well, almost complete disbelief that would be the case. Did you have any idea about any of that before One Peg put that video out, or that article came out, I guess, more accurately?
I found out pretty quickly, and so the worker who's involved, I'm not going to say name because privacy laws in Korea.
Yep.
Basically, it's just the boss wants to give the guy a hard time, I think. Like, that's what it really seems like, because the lawsuit's against one person, not the company.
Right. Yeah, so that was good to learn. Man, I breathed a huge sigh of relief today when I read what Terrence put out there. And, it definitely, not to dismiss the severity and hardship that it puts on the developer, but just the fact that selfishly, Dark and Darker doesn't seem like it's in jeopardy, or Iron Mace as a company, and that was good news.
You know what I'm willing to bet? I'm willing to bet that Nexon is going to make a new game now. Basically exactly like Dark and Darker.
You think they'll try to compete? Yeah.
I think they'll try and compete. And it's going to completely flop compared to Dark and Darker.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the first
Iron Mace.
Yeah, first mover advantage is huge, man. And it's like, yeah,
it's that these devs that we have actually care about their community. There was a time, so we found a cheater in our game. Before the game was over, cheater banned. Like, if you have the if you have the proof that there's a cheater, and you have their name, they will be banned in a heartbeat.
Yep. So hopefully they can keep up with that. I think that's really, barring any other potential lawsuit type things, which sounds like they're more or less in the clear there, at least with Nexon. And I can't imagine any other studio would be in the mix for something like that. The only thing I feel like that could kill this game is cheating, and they're doing a stellar job so far. Now, I didn't run high rollers nearly as much as you did, so it's good to hear from someone that's playing at the level that you are, that you're seeing action taken that quickly, and that it sounds like you're not running into that many. Like, I mean, you called out one example, but I haven't heard you say it was. Go ahead.
Playtest, I ran into 4 cheaters. That's it. And all of them were banned either in game or the game after. And you gotta admit, sometimes they're gonna be overwhelmed. 1,000 players in Zethik. That's absolutely crazy. They have to be like going through so many false reports as well.
Right, right. So McKelney,
So
I hope I said your name right, is in the chat. He's saying this game is going to be full of RMT. I should probably know what that abbreviation means, but I don't. What's RMT?
real money.
Oh, real money
So
transactions?
yeah.
Yeah, I don't get the sense that it's going to be full of RMT at all. I mean, if it is, it would be for cosmetics. But
What he's
oh, he's saying for the cheaters?
yeah, dude, like or just people in general selling gear.
I see. Gotcha. Let's talk long term. So next playtest, we don't have a date yet. We think it's probably going to be in April. There's likely only going to be one more playtest before early access hits. And Terrence did say, I believe it was in the interview with Jonah Vale, that B1 is 100% going to be there in the next playtest. So that's going to change things pretty dramatically. We don't know for sure whether or not Bart is going to be there. At least we didn't a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you have any other inside info on what is definitely going to be there and what's not for the next playtest. What's that?
There's a chance there will be sets. Too much detail about it, and it's looking hot.
What was that? What was the word that you used?
Sets.
Set SETS?
Yeah.
Oh, like gear sets. Is that what you're saying?
That's up for you to figure out.
Yeah, that's really cool if they're gonna do something like that. I dig that. What are the things that you're allowed to share that you're most excited about for the next playtest and or long term?
So I honestly don't know too much. I'm not an internal tester or anything like that. I just like bugs the devs about a lot of questions about the game.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot about the bugs and whatnot because I'm normally the one finding them. I know what they're working on a little bit, at least a little bit. They're working on making new uniques and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that you could enjoy. I'm
Yep.
trying to. My ego really wants to be named, have the pivots named after me.
Oh, Orlanthi's Pavis. Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet. Do you see the leaderboards being a big part of this game for the long haul? I mean, December is supposed to be the full release of the game. By that time, it'll have been in early access for, let's say, at least 5 months, but it could even be 6. And during early access, they'll probably do at least 2, maybe even 3 different wipes. Do you foresee by the time the game comes out that there will still be the same level of engagement and intensity with the leaderboard chase?
I think it's going to be different, completely different. By that time, there might not even, because the leaderboards were originally meant only for the play tests.
Mm-hmm.
Although they would be nice, they need to find a good balance where it will be beneficial for the community to go after leaderboards, but also so it won't be toxic to the community. Don't have people just constantly farming lobbies.
Right.
So like,
agreed, 100%.
How do you personally feel about Gear Fear?
I have a little with at least one character every playtest so far. So whichever character I feel like I'm maining, which is typically either my cleric or the wizard, one of them I'll start to covet the gear that I really, really like. Not because I'm scared to lose it, but usually the thought process is I should hold on to this until my buddies get online and I can run in a squad. Because I ended up playing probably 60% of the last playtest solo. And I guess I felt like the majority of the time I would hold on to my gear with that thought in mind. Like, hey, once my buddies get on, then I'll use my good gear. And a lot of times then I would switch characters. I would end up not using it. So by the time that last day of the playtest rolled around and I'm using a lot of my best gear, it was like, man, I should have done more with this. I mean, even if I lose it, big deal. You go back out and you get more. It's a game that, for as hardcore as it is, it's still forgiving enough that you can get back to a decent gear state, at least for my standards. decent gear state in, an hour or less. Well, less than an hour. So
Yeah, you should always remember that gear is temporary.
Right.
Use forever.
Yeah.
You should just get way better gear. So and then you could even find something for your buddies, maybe even.
Right.
Worst come to worst, you have to be semi-kitted with them for the first raid, and then just have a blast playing together, re-gearing.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah, that was definitely one of my takeaways from this last playtest. The first one, I was terrible. Back in September, I was really, really bad about trying to hold on. Like, I only found a couple rings, and I think I put those rings in my inventory, and they never came out. Excuse me. But the October playtest, I was a lot better about it. December, I was pretty good overall. And then this last one, it was just, it was mainly with my wizard that I was really kind of a hoarder. But all the other characters, I ran at least my second best gear or my best gear pretty much every chance I got.
Yeah, but remember, if it's not perfect, it's a spare.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it, for sure. And the definition of perfect is going to change every playtest, too. It seems like at this point, like what they're doing with the way these items are rolled. You just mentioned that they're going to be pumping out some new weapons altogether. And I'm really curious to see what sets, SCTS, materializes into, because that could make things really, really interesting. But hey, man, I really appreciate the time. I'm going to go ahead and call it here. Have a good one.
You as well.
All right, we'll see you. Thanks, guys, in the stream. We'll see you next time.